today I will be presenting my final major project. I will go through each of my folders separately and talk about what I did in each of them. So the first folder is context. So the context folder includes documentary script. My project was a documentary, so I did the 3-column documentary script. Also URL proposal, 1-page proposal, schedule, and my pitch. So first I will go through my script. So this is how my script looks like. I talked about the visuals and described the scenes, and then for the audio I originally had the voiceover, which I got rid of at the end, and I'm gonna explain it a bit later. So this is how it looks like. Then we have URL proposal. In the URL proposal, I mainly I described my idea and talked about the skills which helped me develop my ideas, and also talked about the different paperwork that I had to do in order to progress with my idea, and then also talked about the different editing softwares that I used and what skills I've gained from them. And yes, then we have the concept section, and in the concept section I basically talked about what I was going to produce. Also talked about the modes of address for my documentary, since I was doing the documentary. And then I also mentioned the length of my documentary and similar products and why were they similar to my idea. Also the target audience, which was mainly my target audience was I got it from the survey that was done in London, which I'm going to also talk about later. And then I also talked about how I would test out my ideas and what I would use. And then we have the evaluation section, and in the evaluation section I talked about my reflective journal and why it was good for me to update it every week, and then also the audience feedback and what I will do to get the feedback. Then I talked about the problem solving, also the evaluation of each stage of production, and and then I also put my bibliography as well. That's it for my URL proposal. Then we have one page proposal. This is the example. We have 1-page proposal here, and in my 1-page proposal, it's basically similar to URL proposal, but it's more brief. So I answered the questions, and I mainly had to talk about the title of my documentary, genre and duration, style and tone, and I also again talked about the similar products and why would I comparing my product to my similar products. And yes, that was basically it. Then there's my logo and the signature as well. Then we have the pitch. This is the concept where I mainly explain the idea. I'll quickly go through this. Those are the similar products, the primary target audience, secondary target audience, how I was planning to get the feedback, then the equipment that I would be using, color palettes, feedback from students, some camera shots, mood board, again another mood board, budget research, locations, and this is the editing style, and lastly the typography. And then we also have the schedule, and this schedule really helped me to be more organized and also plan ahead like some weeks. And every time I didn't know like what to do or what would come next and what I was gonna do next, I would come on my schedule since I already had it prepared and quickly check. And I also did tick boxes, so every time I was finished with something, I would tick the boxes. So yeah. Then we have the planning and production. So for the planning and production, I didn't have to do the as you can see there are actor release, also the call sheet template, but I didn't have to do any of them because in my documentary is basically more of the visuals, and I was basically filming the nature, and I did not have any actors in my film, so I did not have to do any of those. However, I had 3 locations, and for all 3 locations, I did risk assessments, location recce's, also location releases. I only did location release for one of them because this was like the building, and this was like someone's property. And for the other 2 locations, it was basically like an open space, and I did not really need someone's approval to film there, so I only did the location release for one location. Then you have the risk assessment. I'm just gonna go through one of them because I have the 3 of them. So in risk assessment, to complete the risk assessment and location recce's, I basically visited all of my locations and also did the research as well. And I basically described the scenes that I would be filming in each of those locations, and I also identified the hazards and like possible causes of harm. And then I also identified the persons who would be at risk, and then also the risk factor and how likely it was going to happen. And then I also talked about the actions that I would take to minimize each risk. So for example, there were in one of my locations there were ducks swimming in the pond, and the bridge was quite narrow, so the risk so like there was a chance of someone falling over the bridge, falling in the pond. So the actions to be taken was to be extra careful, and also to make sure to don't go near the edges and stand a bit far away from the edge. Then this is the location recce for Battersea Power Station. This is one of the locations I filmed in. And for the location recce, I talked about I got a number of this location, the location site contact number. I got it from the Google, and then as I already mentioned, I visited the place, so I knew that there were no access issues and no electricity supply, and there also was some food places nearby, like inside the building there is basically a mall where you can go for the toilets and also for the food because there are many restaurants there. Possible shots were long shot, wide shot, extreme long shot, and close-ups. And safety issues was basically that in front of the building there is a river, and there was a risk of someone falling in the river, so just to be aware of that. I had the location release completed, as I already mentioned. Points of interest was the outside of the building, and I was going to film just the chimneys of the power station. So, as I already mentioned, toilets were inside the mall. Lighting was the natural lighting because I was filming outside in the afternoon. And noise, the background noise would be like people